Hello and welcome back to the Q&A. So I know it's actually been quite a while since I've done one of these. Honestly, I just kind of lost track of time. I think a lot of Warlords of Draenor news popped up and that would basically kind of shift my whole schedule back a day, and then I've been trying to diversify a little bit more with videos. So, well, yeah, obviously it is now time for the Q&A, and one thing that's worth saying is that because I haven't really done Q&As much over the last week and a half, I don't have many questions. In fact, this episode may get through everything that I have, so if you do have anything, please be sure to leave it, whether it's a Warlords of Draenor question, a lore question, or basically anything. So yeah, let's just jump right into the questions and then of course the answers. So first of all, we have a question from Felox, and he said, "My question for your Q&A is something that I heard in an interview with Ian Hazzikostas. He said that Gul'dan isn't the threat of Warlords of Draenor, Grommash and the Iron Horde are. Gul'dan might even be an ally against them. So what do you think about one of the most evil characters that ever existed teaming up with the Horde and the Alliance?" Well, damn, I mean, I don't know. This is going to be very interesting. So one thing about Gul'dan is that, yes, he was one of the most evil characters in WoW, but we will find him in Draenor before all of that went down, I think. So yeah, it certainly is weird, them sort of pulling this, this weird turn on us. Now, I'm pretty sure that, well, okay, let's go back into the lore. So what happened is that Ner'zhul was basically originally the main kind of, well, one of the most respected shaman people in the orc culture back in the day, and Gul'dan was one of his apprentices. Now, originally, it was Ner'zhul who was tricked and manipulated into being kind of like a pawn for the Legion, which, of course, means that it was sort of through Ner'zhul that Gul'dan got all, like, ultra corrupt and stuff. Now, one thing that's a little bit bizarre is some of the timeline stuff. So right now, I'm not exactly sure how much Burning Legion involvement there will be. I don't know if Ner'zhul will be a pawn of the Legion. So, with that said, it's hard to know exactly what point in time we'll slot into, especially with Gul'dan. Will we just pop in right as Gul'dan has kind of been bought over to the Legion side or not? If he's going to end up being our ally, then okay, fair enough, he's probably not going to be Burning Legion-ish. What we do know is that he is in, he's currently actually kind of pitted against Ner'zhul over the direction of the Horde and the fate of the Orcs as a whole. And that's something that we know from what they've said about Warlords. This is very weird, honestly, because I always would have thought that Ner'zhul, he originally was quite an honourable guy. Well, sort of. He was very much caught up within himself. He was very much basically up himself. So a lot of the Burning Legion acquisition of power was kind of for his own gain until he realised that it was wrong. And then it was from underneath him, Gul'dan, who completely fucked him over, and Gul'dan took all the Legion power for himself. So, is this like an alternate timeline in which Ner'zhul is trying to get all Burning Legioned up, and Gul'dan is still the kind of lowly apprentice who does have his own clan, but doesn't really want to, at this stage, want to ally up with the Burning Legion? I'm not particularly sure. Then another weird thing is that he is at this point the leader of the Stormreaver clan. I was actually pretty sure that the Stormreaver clan was only founded after he decided to join up with the Burning Legion. So honestly, I don't know what to say for your question. I think that it's probably going to be a different storyline than what we know, and because of that, it could be very interesting. And as always, conflict is great, and conflict between characters like Ner'zhul and Gul'dan could be explored in a really fun narrative way. So yeah, I'm all for it, and I think it could end up being rather interesting. It's nice that going on an alternate timeline gives Blizzard a decent amount of freedom when it comes to their stories. Okay, so next we have a question from Gamer Zanus, who says, "What do you think it would take to make Anduin become the whole hero of the light that's in Velen's prophecy? I think that the death of his father or mentor, or perhaps the corruption of Jaina, who has been a mentor/mother to him, would be enough." I don't know if she's really been a mentor or mother to him. I mean, she's been like one of his dad's subordinates / other leader sort of person. That said, I haven't read Proudmoore and Wolfheart, so I'd probably find out more if I had read those. I think that Jaina's corruption would kind of be shitty for him, obviously, because I think the two of them probably do get along quite well. Though right now, I'd say he's probably not too pleased with the way she's going. She's been a lot more decisive and warlike, which is not really Anduin's way, but I think it's also just worth pointing out that I don't like Anduin as a character. I've got the same problems as Noble has. One of Noble's earlier Q&As actually covered Anduin quite well. Basically, he's one of those characters that's been so unrealistically treated. Like, his father was stolen, he's been, people have tried to assassinate him multiple times, he's been through just tremendous amounts of shit. That's not even half the list, I'm just kind of going off the top of my head, but the guy's been through so much, and his character doesn't really reflect any of that. Now, he could still have all of his same viewpoints and things, but if there was actually some, like, inner struggle, or just something in-game to show that his character has actually been through stuff, then it would actually make him a character rather than just an idea, really, because he right now in the game he's just this idea of, oh, OMG, perfection, neutrality, but that idea never really turns into a character who has believable emotions or desires or anything like that. So yes, Anduin, I'm not too keen on the guy. I think that if they were to take him into a plotline, it would involve the death of the real Prophet Velen from our timeline, because that's, Velen's really been his mentor. And I think that that would maybe push him into a stage of action, whereas right now he's been more of a diplomat, honestly. So yeah, Anduin, I'm not too keen on the guy, and go watch Noble87's Q&A about Anduin. I'm not too sure, I think it's number 6, maybe it's 5 or 4. It's one of those, but it's certainly worth a listen to. Okay, so the next question is from Chairman Meow, who said, Blizzard said that the large island on the top right of Draenor is going to be used in a later patch. And in Warcraft 3, the island is homeland to the Warsong clan. And he said that it could obviously be a retelling of their story, but how do I think it would be told? Is Grom going to be a key player in the Iron Horde? And just in general, how could things play out? So for the topic of Grom, well, he's definitely going to be a main sort of person in the Iron Horde, and he's probably one of our main threats there, because he's, trying to do the whole demon blood thing again, but that could be kind of cool. I think that he won't be the end boss. Actually, we know that he won't be the end boss, because they outright said it in BlizzCon. They didn't say exactly what the final boss will be, but I'd imagine that maybe Grom is our second raid tier in, and then sort of shit hits the fan after that, and we get a really crazy raid that really kind of propels us into the story of the next expansion. So I'm not particularly sure how Grom is going to play out, but he's definitely going to be a main enemy and something that we need to watch out for. As for the big island in the top right of Draenor, well, we don't know a great deal about it, but what we do know is that it used to be, Netherstorm used to be it, and what it's actually called is the Fields of Farallon. And we know this because of the World of Warcraft website, where they talked about the Unbroken, and how the Draenei basically had an exiled, like a city in that place. Which of course makes sense, because when you go there in World of Warcraft and you go to Netherstorm, you'll see the ruins of a Draenei city, so that's kind of obvious. But then, apparently, also it was location, or home to the Laughing Skull clan. It's definitely interesting. So apparently that's where the Laughing Skull are from. It's definitely... yeah, so Warcraft 2 was quite a long time ago, right? And I'm guessing that things will have just kind of switched about the place and changed a little bit since then. In terms of lore, a lot of that switching's probably happened already, actually. So that's kind of interesting. So yeah, there you go. This place is maybe going to involve the Shattered Hand clan. It's maybe going to involve some Draenei stuff. But other than that, we are just not sure. Still though, I think it could be quite interesting. I'd love to see what Netherstorm looked like before it got torn to pieces. So yeah, overall, some pretty good stuff there. Okay, next we have a question from 50 Cosine, who said, is Shaman Healer or Priest Healing better? I want to boost one of them to 90 and I'm not really sure. I'm a raiding player, I'm not a casual player. What is the best one for me? Well, this is the kind of question that doesn't have an answer, but the reason why I decided to answer this question is because it's a stylistic choice. Shamans and priests are different, honestly. I'm not an experienced healer, but what I will say is just go play a friend's healer, or read up on what kind of spells they have. because they are very much different, just in the way that maybe a druid is very much based on its dots, a paladin is very much based on its direct heals, and I'm guessing shaman and priest are once again different, with maybe priests having more shields and things like that. Honestly, you'll just have to go and read up for yourself, but neither class is better than the other for healing. In general, it's more that they just have different playstyles. Okay, so the next question is from Entropy Sylvanus, who said, hey, on the PTR, there was a thing that you could buy, which was an XP enhancing potion. Do you think these potions are set to come into the game anytime soon, or if ever? And what is my opinion on their implication? Well, they're never going to come into the Western version of the game now that the level 90 boost is there. I think that's definitely a very safe assumption. These things were originally intended for the Korean servers. Basically, the way things work in Korea is that people do not play, they don't pay for a month at a time, they pay by the hour. So what that means is that someone in Korea could set aside maybe 2 or 3 hours where they really know they're just going to have a lot of time to focus and play World of Warcraft. Therefore, having an XP boost makes a lot of sense for that market, because they can maximize their free time that they're able to play the game with by using, say, an XP potion. That's great, but in the West we have the level 90 boost, and that means that honestly I just don't think an XP enhancing potion would be there. In terms of my thoughts on their implication, well, it's the sort of thing that would absolutely kind of ruin the quest flow of the different zones for new players if they were to buy them, which would be a little bit confusing. Already, if you start out-leveling zones, it just does get confusing. You don't know where to go, you don't know what level you should be for the zone you're in, and all that stuff. It's just not really a good play experience. So my thoughts on the implication is probably not good in the West, or for people who are leveling up their first character, but for everyone else in Korea or China, it makes complete sense, but just not for the West. Okay, then we have a question from Thomas Emmett, who said, hey, what is your Hunter's Transmog? Well, that's a pretty easy answer. It is Arena Season 1 mixed with the Black Bow of the Betrayer, which is a drop from Illidan. I think it's about 20%. It's a very easy one to get, actually, because you can just buy the Arena Season 1 gear from... there's like an NPC in Area 52 in Netherstorm. So that's fine. The only annoying thing is that the bracers and feet... I don't know, maybe it's the belt and feet. Yeah, the belt and feet that originally went with it are no longer available in the game, so you'll probably just have to look through Wowhead and try to find some best, approximation. I think the Tsunami boots from Cataclysm worked out quite well, but I'm not particularly sure. Okay, anyway, so we actually have our final question of all the Q&A questions. So yeah, do answer or ask questions if you have them, because I'd like it if this show kept on going. It's from Rolsies, who said, Arthas' Lich King armor is detailed on style by many skulls of varying sizes. Are these skulls of any specific or importance? Really? Are they people that Arthas killed, or are they just sculpted to look cool? I hope they're real skulls, because I don't really see fashion being the Lich King's primary concern, where actually wearing the skulls of his victims would drive the message home. Well, I'm 99% sure that they are fake. They're just kind of embroidered in. Not embroidered, obviously, you can't really embroider plate mail, but they're definitely forged in. But there is a reason, and it is actually a little bit of fashion sense. When you wear a bit of armor, you kind of want to look menacing, right? And the armor certainly looks menacing. That's kind of like the whole idea. So while it's not like the skulls are going to leap out of his armor and kill someone, but they're certainly, if you think about it, going to put someone off when they see him. He'll be tall in this kind of dread plate armor that's covered in skulls, and overall it's just kind of creepy. And especially if you've seen this guy who was covered in at least the images of skulls, kill 15 of your friends, and then raise them as the dead, you're probably going to be a little bit worried about facing him yourself. And I guess that's the point of the armor. So yeah, that's probably the explanation behind the Lich King's fashion sense. Which honestly, I think it's pretty good. If I was making armor, I guess it would look like that. Hell, even if you think of, say, the Witch King from Lord of the Rings, the guy could wear more efficient armor, sure, but a part of his whole thing is that he looks kind of horrifying. And Arthas is kind of going for a similar sort of thing there. But yeah, I think that's really it for today's Q&A. because honestly, I'm out of damn questions. So if you have a question or anything like that, please do leave it in the comments. Another thing that I should mention is that the reason there's no webcam is because I'm having this really annoying audio sync issue with Open Broadcaster, which is basically just doing my head in. I'm trying to fix it. I think I've nearly got the right offset, but yeah, maybe, look, that'll probably return in a future episode. But for now, that is it. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, you can check out my social media links and Patreon page and all that stuff in the video description. And yeah, with all that said, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.